We've a little gem coming up for sale very soon. Here it is. This thing's rather special to me. Yes, I know it's just a Series 1 Lotus Exige, but its second registered keeper was me back in 2002. This was my old Autocar long-termer, and the chap I sold it to nearly 20 years ago is about to sell it again on Collecting Cars. I'm going to be reacquainted with it and maybe go for a little drive. The Exige was born, I think, in 2000, and in 2001, I was at Autocar magazine, and I managed to get a chance to race in something called the Lotus Elise Championship, which was strange because they were called Elises, but they looked like Exiges. It was a support race series for touring cars, and I managed to blag myself a road car to drive to the races, and this was it. Y47AEX. It had a right old life with me. This car does not have its original engine, I know, because I blew the first one up. And Lotus fitted a new engine to this car. They had it fitted at what was called Williams Lotus in Bristol. It doesn't have its original engine, but it does have a proper 190 horsepower K-series. It has the correct engine, and it's got every kind of factory extra you could get on an Exige in 2001. So it's got the upgraded brakes, it's got the fancy seats, it's got the sports exhaust muffler. It really was my dream car. I did about 15,000 miles in it, I think, or was it 12? I can't remember. But yeah, let's show you around it and then I'll remember some proper stories about it, including the time it failed to get back from the Nürburgring and it made an appearance on BBC Radio Cornwall. So an Exige really was an Elise with a roof, with a wide-bodied solid rear clam and a roof panel where the canvas roof used to be, wider front arches as well. And when it came out, I don't think any of us could believe how good it looked. Even now, I think this S1 Exige is one of the best looking Lotus performance cars ever made. It's absolutely stunning, and this one is highly original. I think it's identical to the day I sold it. It's even got the original large format number plate, which is Lotus Cars Limited rather than any dealer as well. So geeks out there will know this is the real thing. Nicely stone chipped front clam, exactly as I sold it. The big brakes, like I said, exactly as I sold it. The interior, bang on. It's even got this PI sports timing kit, which has got a little dash that goes in front of the normal dashboard so you can time yourself at track days, because at Autocar track days I used to time myself when I was young and silly. And the owner has got the full collection of magazines in which it featured. Luckily there is no image of, oh, there is a picture of me there, but I'm wearing a crash helmet, and there's the dash, that's the Pi dash that goes in there. And look at this. This is a story about how it just came back from the Nürburgring. It didn't make it back from the Nürburgring, I'll tell you how. So Exiges of this era and Elises had a slight issue with the fact that the engine would rock backwards and forwards. 1800cc K-series. This was an option, the big carbon airbox. It looked great, still looks great. But this was the problem area down here. The alternator's down there. And apparently, I think it was mounted to the chassis and the engine would move a bit. I can't remember the exact disparity, but something could move, something couldn't move. And it would knack the positive terminal. The other thing you had to really keep an eye on back in the day was that piss pot there, because if there was any coolant going, it meant the head gasket was going, which on a K-series was a problem. So you always checked that, and you always made sure that was okay down there. A bit more DIY in those days. I always think these little installations of K-series are rather beautiful as well. It is a brilliant piece of British engineering, such a light engine. Anything that had a K-series and then has something heavy in it afterwards, you always realise just how light a K-series was. Neil's holding the lid. Neil, lid down. You see? Jobs for the Welsh. Good.
Got it.
Can you see here? The Nürburgring sticker, see that? I put that on at the garage at the Nürburgring. If you come around here, and on the back of the car, the sticker. It's a bit of a time warp, this, for me. It's incredible. How quick? Well, 190 horsepower, aren't they? So effectively it was the engine that was in something called the Sport 190 Elise, which I think they sold about 15 of. And it was about as far as you could go with a K-series without it ripping the head gasket off and effectively blowing itself up. So by modern standards, it's not a fast car, but properly light. I mean, I would have thought this is 800 kilograms, maybe a bit less. And the road holding was sensational when it had that beautiful little Elise steering wheel. Have a look inside. Come on, have a look at this. It's exactly as I sold it. Standard seats, the door panels are correct. It's even got the original gear lever. Most people change the gear knob, don't they? It's not perfect, but it really is very, very original. And to find an Exige that's not had a Honda put in it or, you know, be on its fourth engine is quite rare. Anyhow, I would like to go for a little drive in this thing. So we're going to go for a quick toot and then come back and we'll talk about its appearance on BBC Radio Cornwall. You're going to really tease this up. BBC Radio Cornwall. wow. All comes flooding back, doesn't it? Doesn't it, when you get in an old car? That uneven, slightly cammy idle, the smell, the feel of it wanting to go into first bit of resistance. 20 years since I've driven it, but the muscle memory's still there for this car. We're strange creatures, aren't we? Just pull off that noise. Just so immediate. I would sacrifice so much of most modern cars' outright performance, all that speed, to have the way this feels, the way that I feel bolted to the floor of the car, that gorgeous steering, that tiny, accurate gear shift, the throttle pedal that takes a push, the brake pedal that takes a push. I often talk about control weights needing to feel like they're in sync with each other, that they communicate with each other. The Elise Exige is the perfect example of that. Everything feels like it takes a similar weight of input. And that carbon airbox, when you just get the throttle wide open, you get a lovely blare through the rear bulkhead. Suspension feels spot on. Forget how comfortable the ride is. So I used to drive this thing to the Nürburgring. The rest of the car was incredibly comfortable. It was kind on your body because it's soft. It's a Lotus after all. I must stop revisiting these things because this is just absolutely stunning. What a thing. I do think being invited to go back and drive your old cars is a bit weird. It reminds you of what your life was like at that time. And I wasn't married and I had the job of my dreams. I was racing for free. I don't think life's ever been better, has it? I mean, I love my children and everything else, but this really was a lifestyle. If you told me I could have enjoyed that when I was 17, I'd never have believed you. This was my daily car, and it looked like nothing else on the road. It was a talking point. It made me feel good about myself. I just loved it. Yeah. Lotus makes the best sports cars for British roads. End of. Other people do other things better, but on a narrow British road like this, this is heaven. It's a design classic as well, the bare aluminium inside the car, the simplicity of the dashboard, that stack instrument set that even now looks so crisp and perfect for its intended use. Oh. Buy an Exige, buy an Elise. I'm going to be online tonight looking. This might be a bit strong for me, this one. This is about the best there is, and it's got quite a nice story, but I really do adore these things. Steering wheel, look at it, just perfection. What a thing. Do you know what, there's a place for someone to make a car of this type. 20 years ago, I used to hop in and out of this like it was my daily driver, because it was. But now, it's for the younger man. Right, so, as for Radio Cornwall, so I'm with a pal of mine, and we're in Newquay on holiday, showing off in the Exige. Must be 2001. Yeah, 2001. And it's the middle of July. Peak holiday season, lots of traffic around. We're driving through Newquay in the one-way system, and the alternator does its thing where it decides to stop working and the car fails and stops on the one-way system. It caused utter mayhem that day because the whole of Newquay snagged up. And I remember listening to the radios, we were by the side of the road waiting for the recovery truck to come, and we heard Radio Cornwall say, avoid Newquay, some prat in a sports car's broken down and knackered the whole place. So there you go. It was famous for a day. It's another one of those cars that makes me realise maybe I should try and hoover up all of my old memories. It's really, really gorgeous. It goes live soon.